Hey everybody, it's Kelly V, the Pop Pixie here. So proud to bring you another episode of Rockn Talkn one-on-ones. This one is with the most incredible Jackie Chambers of Girls School and Cyteria, and my very good friend, probably one of the sweetest angels of metal I have ever met. And you're really gonna love this episode, so stay tuned. If you got a beer, if you got a joint, whatever it is you want to sit down and chill with, your cup of coffee, just grab it, sit down, and enjoy the show. Thanks so much for supporting me, Kelly V, the Pop Pixie, and we're going to get right to that interview right now. My interviews are usually done with the fabulous Liv Steve Kudlow, but these are one-on-ones with just me, Kelly V, the Pop Pixie, and my guest. Thanks.
Oh, good, hear you. I love the technology, right?
I know, right? And I should have gone to school for this maybe, or learned a thing or two before, but hey.
Me too. People around me, they all seem to know what they're doing, so I think I'll let them do it.
Exactly, right? And there's like nobody here. So it's learn or sink, I guess.
I think when it comes to the two bands in girls' school, I'm probably one of the more tech. In Cyteria, they're all IT people, so they're all do it all.
Oh wow. So
useful.
is it I guess it must be a different dynamic working with the two bands.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's good fun with both bands in different ways. Obviously, I've known girls' school for a couple of 25, 26 years, whatever it is.
For those who don't know, that is the longest running all-female.
It is. It'll be 43 years next year. I know. I'm the new girl, and I've been in 22 years.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
26 years now, something like that. I met them about 26 years ago. Yeah, long time, isn't it? Yeah,
that is
more than half my life, really. So it's about just about half my life.
That's more than my whole life.
Exactly, that's it. I've been in this band all this time and know these guys. They're going, I'm not even that old.
I know. I'm sorry. The older I get, I'm resenting the young ones. Not. I guess it's envy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all relative.
I don't know if you'd have the same experience starting over today.
It's a really different. It's completely changed. It really has. I mean, when I think back to when we first started, girls' school when they first started, obviously it's completely different. Then it's really male dominated. I think it still is predominantly male dominated, but yes. You get more. There's more chances and opportunities to be a girl, female in the bands these days, at least.
There is. Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, because I wanted to ask you, but then I don't want to focus on it because it's like it has nothing to do with talent.
It really doesn't. I always tell people this story. When I was in a band called Virago before girls' school, and it was kind of put together, and because it were all girl, and I sent in a demo tape, not that's how old it was. And I sent it without a picture on purpose because I thought I'm going to put this to the test, And the record company called back. They really liked the music. They really liked the songs, everything. And they spoke. I spoke to them and they said, "Oh right, you're the singer." Just assumed that I was a singer because I was a girl. But no, we're a girl band, and there was like a deadly silence on the other end of the phone. And as soon as they found out we were an all-girl band, they kind of lost interest because it was almost like, oh, gimmicky, blah, 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 blah. Yet they liked the stuff, which is really bizarre, isn't it?
Yes, that is really bizarre. I wonder what their hesitation was on marketing it.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I think eventually we had a couple of people come down and see us, but, nothing really came of it. I think because they used to see girl bands as gimmicks, like a novelty act, that sort of thing. Whereas I think they're a little bit more respected now. I'm lucky with girls' school because they've got the longevity, the reputation. Mm-hmm. It's a different kettle of fish. I think the guys respect us because we've been around a long time. It's not just playing at guitars like a lot of young bands do. That's how they see female music. You're just playing until you get married and have kids. That's kind of the way a lot of people look at it. But we're all in a...
For men too, and I'm sure that must be an incredible thing to have to take yourself out of. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you juggle both.
Just a different, because if you send in a demo tape to a record company and they like the tape, like they did this one, the songs, then they can't tell if that's a female drummer or a female guitar player. They can tell if it's a female vocal usually.
Yeah.
But a drummer and, you know, guitar, it shouldn't be about your, you know, your gender, should it? You know, if you play guitar, you play guitar. If you play it well, you play it well. You know, if you write good songs, you write good songs. It doesn't matter what you are, man, woman, whatever. So,
but I think it would have been worse if they marketed you just because you were that, because there is some kind of, you know, sex sells, girl, you know, you're all very attractive, so that helps, right? You know?
Yeah, but that's it. You've got to, if you're going to be marketed that way, then you all have to be attractive, which is another different thing altogether.
It's horrible, isn't it?
It's like they wouldn't do that to a man, would they? They wouldn't. It's like years back now in Girl Scout, probably back 2002. I remember a manager put us up for a big rock festival that's really well known. I won't name and shame, but they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we've got our female band," and I'm like, "You are kidding?" It's like we've got our token female band. And it's like, that is just ridiculous. And like, the girls' school have been going all this time, and yet they've got their band. And I'm thinking, would they say that to the likes of Lemmy? Oh, sorry, Lemmy, we've got our three-piece this year.
No.
We're our male band this year. We need some more females.
Yeah.
Some of the festivals and the posters that are up for all the bands playing, and you can see there's such a lack of females on the posters. It's just... you usually count them on one hand. You know, it's like
it's so unfair.
Got the big majority of it because there's 4 of us in one band.
Wow. And it's you know, you usually get a big deal made out of one member being female, but all female, yeah, that's extraordinary. And it shouldn't be an extraordinary thing. Yeah. It shouldn't matter to me. But I guess and the weird thing is when you look out into a metal crowd, majority of men, right? Yeah. So they'd rather market men to men. That makes no sense to me, right?
It's really odd. We actually notice the difference when it's not all men, if you know what I mean. We did a couple of festivals a couple of years ago in Sweden. We did one in Sweden, and it's a women only Sweden. It's the first time I'd heard of it. It's just a women only. All the bands were female. Everybody involved was female.
Oh my God!
Quite weird, actually, because like you go on stage and there's all these high pitched screams. I don't like it all female either. It shouldn't be about that, should it? You know, there's plenty of in the audience and on stage, so it's kind of weird. It's always noticeable if it's mostly women.
Have you ever worked with men?
Lots of times, yeah. I mean, realistically, Girls' School, well, apart from the Virago, the band that I put together just before Girls' School, I've been in all bands with men. I've been the only woman most of the time. From start, ever since I started a band with a punk band with my little brother on bass. And, you know, we just, and a boyfriend on singing. It's amazing because I've been in bands with men all my life. So when I got all this attention as a female guitarist in the band called Deja Vu that I was in, I didn't understand why I was getting all this attention because I wasn't a great player. I'd only been playing like a year, but I was getting all this attention. And it just seemed weird to me that, why? Just because I'm a girl, you know? Because it was so rare, I guess, back then in the 80s.
It really is. And I don't know why that is, you know, I just don't. But it is a male-dominated industry all the way to the top. Yeah. All the way to the top.
There's a few women in the good positions really now, which is always good to see.
It's so hard to get there, though. It's so hard to get the respect and also to get the respect from the viewers as well, I find, you know. Yeah. But we do what we do because that's what we're meant to do, I think, you know.
Exactly. I'll carry on doing it regardless. If I'm not playing, I keep on writing songs. So, you know, it's one of those, it's in your blood, isn't it? It's like some people, they've talked, you know, with the COVID thing at the moment, they're sort of saying, oh, musicians should retrain. And, you know, this is like, really? Because there's no music industry anymore. You think, I don't think they realize it's not a job. It's not a job. It's who you are, isn't it?
It is. And if you have to, you'll get another job to survive, but it's not something you can just take out of your character. And I posted about that today, actually. Where does that come from? And why do you have it and not the next person? You know, where does...
It's just something that you are. You can't even explain it, can you?
No,
you know?
You really can't.
You stop playing and doing music, you just miss it. It's part of you. You just need to do it. It feels like you need to do it.
You need to do it. And I think that it is such a powerful thing, and when it's lost, it can really kill people.
I think it's like being. I think it probably is like being a mother. I'm not a mother myself, but I can imagine it's like if you don't have children when they're grown up, it's like that thing in you. You are a mother till the end. You always are a mother.
Yeah,
And it's
that's very,
that you are. It's in you. It's the same
very
thing as a
true.
musician. It's in you. It's just something that you are.
Mm-hmm,
Can't just say, "Oh, I'll quit now and do something else." I mean, you
yeah,
probably do eventually, but it's always there. You still love music. You still probably pick up your guitar and whatever. But
yeah.
yeah,
I don't think it'll change. I know our music industry is changing now, and it's never going to quite be the same, I don't think. But there were so many problems with it to begin with in the last 10 or 20 years of its collapse that I think it was, needed a reboot.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it could do as good. I mean, a lot of times I look at people now, and the people online are saying, "Oh, can't wait to get to a gig. Can't wait to get to a gig." I think that people have taken it for granted for so long that the bands are just going to be playing, and they've got a choice. There's so many festivals on right now that people aren't supporting the grassroots clubs, because they're all going to festivals. I think when it does come back, or if it does come back, whatever way, I think people will be more appreciative. I think most people will want to go see a band.
Yeah, they're not going to be like, I'll catch them next time.
Yeah, none of that anymore in case it comes again.
Yeah, yeah.
Nigeria did we were out on tour with Girls' School in February, which is lucky because we did January and February this year in the UK because we haven't done UK for years. And so we had a little about 12 gig tour, and then COVID hit. But I went home for a couple of days, then I went out with Cyteria right in the middle of it all, and we did about 4 gigs to promote a new album. And then COVID hit, and then March, that was it, nothing. So we managed to get 2 in between March and now before this lockdown again. But it was just such a weird atmosphere. It's like, we call it chicken in a basket in England, where people sit down eating and tables and very sophisticated and quite, restrained, let's say. And it's like, so with spoons, holding the spoons in the air so they get table service for drinks. Like, you're an alcoholic. Nobody's moving anywhere unless they've got a mask on to go to the toilet. And it's just like, I think all the people in that audience of those 2 gigs were just saying afterwards how amazing it was, even though it was different, just to be out watching a band. They'd realised how much they appreciated watching bands. And I think people won't take it for granted as much, and I think they'll appreciate it more. And I think that'll be good for new bands, just starting out, because I think we've lost that in the UK, definitely, because there's not as much support. You might put a new band out and might be 10 people turn up or something,
I think Canada has. I was in the States for a while, and I'm back in Canada, and I see how weak our community is with supporting the music. Not to say we don't have great festivals and events, but I mean,
Yeah,
specifically metal music, specifically live music in our venues that are iconic. We're losing them all. And we were losing them all before COVID.
Yeah. We've lost a few since COVID. I know I keep seeing like things online that this club's shut down, and there's lots of clubs that are doing like crowdfunding, like a crowdfunding things, raising money to keep them open. It's like, because the governments aren't doing it.
They aren't. No. And I think, especially in Toronto, we had this problem of the downtown core, where all of our great venues are the most expensive real estate in the city now. It's, as soon as those 100-year leases are gone, the rent is so freaking high, they have to sell bulldozed condos.
Yeah. Well, I heard the whiskey was going in America. I don't know if it's still there. Is it still there?
I'm not sure. I'm like, just crazy places like that.
Yeah.
That should be landmarks, historical landmarks, right?
We lost like the Astoria in London, for putting in, more subways, whatever it was. But it's like crazy, all these amazing venues just going. Luckily, new ones sort of spring up all the time, though, so it's always something good. But it takes a while to establish a place, doesn't it?
It does.
And you get like a circuit. And like there's a circuit forms, isn't there? There's like a little circuit in Britain now that everybody knows.
Right.
I guess a few of those are struggling. They're kind of like more like for bands like Cyteria more than Girls' School, though, because they're like that grassroots, 200 to 300 capacity, whatever. But there's nothing in between anymore. It's like either playing like arenas, 5,000-10,000, and then there's a couple of O2s which are like about 1,000. But there's nothing like in between. You know, there's not many anymore. It used to be
It's
a lot
true.
more venues. Yeah, it's a shame.
It is a shame, and I really enjoy obviously going to a stadium and that major performance of the lights and everything and just that many people. But there's something so wonderful about those smaller, intimate performances. Um, and I know people who've never been able to get up to that level of doing arena shows and stuff like that. So they're sort of stuck on that circuit, right? And
Isn't that? Yeah.
without them, they have no bread and butter. If they disappear,
Every band starts somewhere. You can't just start in a stadium, can you? You know what I mean? You got to learn your trade, as it were. Really, play to 10 people, and sometimes that is harder because you can go on stage to thousands of people, and you can't see them, and it's
oh
almost
really?
easier because of the lights in your face and everything, or they're about because of the photography pit. You've got like 5-10 meters before the audience even starts.
Oh
So
wow.
sometimes in the dark you can't see them until the lights change. So that sometimes is easier than playing to a club of 120, 100, 200 people, because you can see everybody's expressions. Do you know what I mean? If somebody at front doesn't like you, they don't like you. They're in a big crowd. It's hard to see their faces. It's just a mash of people.
I mean,
So,
that
yeah.
must be a horrible moment when you look out, you finally see them and they're just not digging what you're doing.
Yeah, what's really weird though is sometimes I've seen people like that in the crowd, and I thought, oh, he's not digging what we're doing, but okay, not everybody loved the Beatles, and then one of the biggest bands on the planet. So, and then you go out afterwards to the merch stand, and everybody comes over to talk to you, and it's I loved your gig. And I'm thinking, you look like miserable. At least tell your face.
I think I'm so disappointed now. It's either moshing or people just stand stone cold
Yeah.
face looking at you, right? And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that expression. Come on, tell your face to smile, for goodness
I
sake.
know that's not allowed. That's just not. You're just not cool, right? If you're happy and about
We're all different, aren't we?
to be
I
a
stand
wall.
with
That's
Patricia Cat the whole time when I'm watching a band I like. I'm loving it. If I'm not singing my head off into somebody's ears,
I,
in
I
the front.
I'm always all over the place. Although I can't handle the pits anymore.
No,
I really
I
can't.
learned my lesson a few years back. I thought I was still 16. You know what I mean? Oh, no.
Oh, 14, I went to see Pantera and I went with my friend. She's a bit of a wall. She's huge. But we thought we'll lose each other, so we'll tie ourselves together at the wrist.
See,
I think we both dislocated our arms, and they actually stopped the show and went, oh, chicks in the pit, that's not cool, that's not cool. And once they did that, the whole pit decided we'll make a circle around them, and then it was try to get into the circle. We just danced in the middle, all happy and safe, right? Thank you, Pantera, for that. But I mean, okay, so we were gonna go back, and I think one of your favorite tours, I think you said was with Motorhead.
Yeah, I've done about 3 or 4 with them now. Yeah, it's been always brilliant, always good fun. Yeah, it's always a great crowd as well, because that everybody knows what they're getting when they're getting Motorhead Girls' School, and it's like the classic lineup in a way, because when Motorhead started, they did Girls' School, Saxon, Motorhead.
Oh
The
my
big tour.
gosh.
And then, of course, they did full circle. The last tour we did was Motorhead's 40th anniversary,
Wow.
the 2015 when he died, and it was classic lineup again. It was Girls' School, Saxon, and Motorhead. So it's like it's one of those things. It's like almost a yearly event. We did every 2 or 3 years, like in November in Britain. I always picks the cold months to go tour, and it's like, why can't we tour somewhere hot in November and come back here when it's warm? And no,
No.
we always do it the other way around. We go to Oslo when it's freezing, and we come back to Britain when it's freezing.
You need to do the States and go to Florida and some of those lovely places like that.
We did do that, actually. We did do that. We did a tour in, I think it was 2000, I can't remember what dates, 2009, I don't know. I don't know. But we did one, and it was in America, and with Crucified Barbara was supporting us on that tour. So it's probably actually about 6 years ago or something like that, I could guess.
So you had that yearly threesome going on, for lack of a better word. Who would fill that spot now?
Wow, well, yeah, that's it. I think, well, we're still doing gigs with Saxon, so because obviously we've done quite a few with them since, and we would have been doing a lot this year with Saxon. We've had to reschedule the gigs with Saxon twice now, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, things are getting rescheduled for the same time next year, but now they're being rescheduled again because it's just, we know March is not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's impossible because we're still in full lockdown in tier situations here. We've got like a tier.
Yeah.
It's not working, but clearly it's not working. But with Christmas, I think, and that cold weather kicking in, the snow will be coming soon. It's going to be a lot more cases, obviously. It spreads and people going home for Christmas, families. So there's probably going to be another peak.
They're talking about canceling Christmas.
Well, they're not going to do that here. They won't dare. I don't think they dare cancel Christmas. People are going to ignore that, aren't they? They're just not going to take that.
I know people who are abiding by it, not going to see their parents, not going,
Really?
being very, very careful with it. And then I know people on the other extremes who are like not doing anything. They just.
I think in Britain we're more rebellious.
I think
like, sod that, we're going to Christmas. I mean, we've got rules like, 3 families, so like that's enough mostly for some, like your mum and dad, whatever, and then you got the 2 kids with their families. That's 3 families, so that's enough in a way for Christmas. So people have had to rearrange. I mean, personally, I've only got my mum, so it's like it's not a big deal for me, but I can see it's difficult for some, and obviously you've got to look after the elderly. We've got to be responsible.
And that's the thing, is that our parents, right?
Yeah.
Is going to see them for Christmas really worth the risk to some people, and they're saying no. And
well, if you're isolating first, I think that's probably a wise thing to do. I've got one of those like gun things, what take your temperature. So every time I see my mum, I always make sure I do that, and make sure. I mean, I used to go around the house wiping everything I touched at one point, but just looking after yourself first, making sure you don't get it yourself, or if any symptoms whatsoever, or just don't go see her. Then obviously that's a given, isn't it? You don't go see anybody elderly. If I see old people in the street, I walk across the other side of the road just to make sure, just in case you're a carrier, because nobody knows, do they? We don't really know much about this disease.
No,
really.
and that we can give in to all the hype. We can say that we're not being informed, we're being lied to, whatever. But if there is a hint of truth to it, there's a hint of truth to it at all. I wish people would just try and use some common sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, we think in this country, you'd think we'd be in a brilliant position. We're an island. You'd think as soon as we heard there was a virus, we should have locked down for that 1 month, and we might have had more of a chance of stopping it, isolating it. But no, because people are coming in airplanes and people going out, it's like, oh man, that's the worst thing. I keep thinking, does nobody watch any of the movies? Did they not see Planet of the Apes? Did they not see?
Apparently not. No, we're still going to make AI, and we're still going to go to space, and we're still,
Exactly. It's like, all these films are almost prophetic, aren't they? It's like,
it's so true. So true. It's
Contagion, that's the other one, Contagion. I'm thinking, that even started by somebody eating a bat from a Chinese market, and I'm thinking, it's like, that was written about right now.
It's funny, Liv's made a very valid point about that. I don't know if was it during our conversation? It was during.
Yeah, it was,
yeah. And I think it's so funny, we're so quick to judge them, yet in America we really do eat roadkill or hunt out of the woods. You know what I mean? We don't look at ourselves as some kind of lower perception for doing that, and it's the same thing,
isn't it? I mean, I think more. I mean, I'm vegan personally, so I don't eat animals at all. But I can see that. I think in the future everybody's going to be vegetarian at least, because it's just not. We can see now the way we're treating the animals, the way that they're pumped full of hormones, all the way cruelty in the world, even just with cows and things. Because in England we eat cows, but if you go to India, that's a sacred animal. In Britain, we wouldn't eat a dog or a cat, but in China they do. It's like, everybody's rules are different.
It's
and I
true.
think the more they're because obviously now wildlife because we're expanding as humans on the planet, our population is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Obviously we're going out into the fields, into the forests, so that we're taking away wildlife areas where they live, so they're coming in more, and we're killing them and eating them and experiment. And I think it's just not good. We shouldn't be eating animals. They've got little souls. They shouldn't be eating them.
I mean, it's funny, without alarming the Canadian populace, I have noticed that the price of meat has gone up so much. It's almost a luxury, right? Here, a pound of hamburger is over $10.
It's going to keep going up because the farmers can't afford to be, farming.
Right. We have
too much.
We have a meat shortage. We don't want to admit it. We haven't been informing our populace about it. but we've been slowly implementing these food-based, plant-based meats. I don't know if you have those over there, these
Yeah,
plant-based
same here.
hamburgers and things
Same
like
here.
that.
It's been massively different for the last couple of years. They've tried to
Couple
do like
years.
I think in January, veganary. So it's like everybody in January try eating vegan food, and they're suggesting now eating 2 vegetarian meals a week just to help the planet. Because climate change, everybody feeding the cows, it takes all this water, it takes all this food,
Oh,
it
it
takes all the
does.
land. So it's not cost effective for farms to keep cows because they're not making enough money off the meat to actually even feed the animals now, and all the water that we need as humans as well. So it's going to end up everybody's going to become vegetarian. I've been saying this for years because
I have
been
too, actually. I have
but
too.
I think it's really is becoming real now. I think it's going to happen. I really think it's going to happen.
I just
Slowly.
kind of wish they'd make the food pill. Like,
Yeah, they'll get it. They'll get it. I mean, since I've only been vegetarian 9 years old now, but I think it's got better because the food substitutes, let's call them, they were pretty horrible. I mean, like the bacon, it looked like an inner for a sole, for a shoe, and it was horrible. The texture was wrong, everything. But you can find substitutes now that are half decent.
yeah, that is true. Actually, I remember. Why do you need to make bologna? That is like the worst meat that was ever created, right?
Yeah.
But I think that yeah, we need a whole new direction on a lot of things, and I think the music industry is one. I don't know how we're gonna fix it. I don't know how we're gonna move forward.
Yeah. We never know how things are going to work, do we? But we never thought this would have happened, would we? And I think it's, like I was saying the other night, I think it's a really good time for reflection. I really do. A very apt name for our album.
Nice. Oh, I like it.
That's 2 years ago, and it's becoming very real right now, isn't it? So I think right now, I think it is. We're divided into 2 lots of people who are freaking out and people who are taking the time out to know themselves, get to do different things they've never tried before, and really, actually enjoying some of the time, to get them to know themselves and doing new things. It's hobbies, and people are taking up gardening and making their own food, and I think that's probably one of the best things we can do right now. Just grow your own food.
Oh,
you
wow.
appreciate it more then. Well, you really appreciate it more when you do. And we're probably going to have to do that in England anyway with Brexit.
I don't know if it's the meat shortage or the fact that we legalized weed and we now need that land for weed. But, if we can learn how to eat weed and actually survive off of it,
this is true.
Right? But I'm wondering where they're growing it all. You know what I mean? Where is it all coming from? But anyway.
People's lots over here.
I worked at a few, like at a grow ranch, and it's interesting. And I think, is it legal there yet?
No, it's not really. But I think you can, not really medical marijuana. It's not really legal here. I don't actually know. I think I think you probably can get it for illnesses. I'm not sure. I think you can have personal use, things like that. But, I
just think it's ridiculous that you can drink beer until you fall down and you can't smoke a joint. Like, that's just mental.
Okay, especially when we all know it's good for, certain joint problems and health problems and things like that. It's crazy. The rules are all different, aren't they, everywhere? It's just like...
It's true.
Making it up as we go along.
It's crazy. In Canada, I found out now that you can be in the military and still smoke as long as you haven't smoked 8 hours or 10 or whatever before your shift.
Oh.
So they're allowing it. They're like alcohol, which I think, is smart, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
It's just saying. But I could talk forever on that whole issue. I really could.
On meat.
I did want to touch on the vaccines because we did an episode last week, and in order to get back to work, you're gonna have to take this.
Is it actually they're making you take it in Canada?
It's definitely going to be like that. Yeah.
I think it's probably going to happen here, which I think a lot of people will kick up a stink because it's like we don't like being dictated to, as it were. I mean, personally, I don't want to take it, not because of the conspiracies and everything. I've just spent years and years getting chemicals out of my body. I don't want to be putting ones in that I don't really need. So I think my immune system, because I'm vegan, because I'm healthy, I rely on my own immune system to get me out of trouble. If I get this virus, I'm sure I'll be okay. because I'm one of the healthy ones. Nobody knows, of course. I don't know until I get it, or if I get it. But I think it should be choice. Everything should be choice.
I don't think it's going to be. They're talking about making cards that you have to present your card. You have to, in order to work or attend or to congregate or to do anything, right?
It's probably going to be like that to fly, I would think, as well, which means I would have to take it because I'm going to, unless I don't work again, because obviously we fly a lot in girls' school.
Exactly. So in some area of life, it's almost going to be forced upon you, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the government probably has to make that call and say, look, people aren't going to do it. If they don't have to, they won't, right? Because they're afraid or they're, don't like to be forced or whatever. So to protect the whole, they're going to create, and that's coming down to some scary stuff.
Kind of my stance on that one really is like, okay, fine. I think if anybody wants to have the injection, have it. Absolutely, definitely. If they feel safe. But then they're saying like, you can't go into a pub or whatever if you haven't had it.
Yeah.
And I think, say for example, playing devil's advocate here, if I wanted to go into a pub and I haven't had the injection, but everybody else in the pub has had it, what are they afraid of? If they've had the injection and they feel safe, me coming in there, even if I had it, surely they'd be safe. So it's kind of like, why are they afraid? If I haven't had it, it's down to me. If I get it from another person who hasn't had it, then it's my fault. It's only going to be passed around the people who haven't had the injection. Those who have had the injection, surely that they're safe. They're safe. They shouldn't be in fear of getting it if they've had the injection. If it works.
I have heard that you can get it twice. It's not impossible.
Yeah, 21 days apart, you've got to have it. What I've heard on the news, yeah.
So even if you're inoculated, then you can still get it again and get it worse. So maybe that's the fear of that situation.
Well, from what I thought, what I heard, I thought I understood was like you have to have the first injection, then 21 days later, the second one to make it work. I think you have to have the two to make it work.
The Pfizer ones, yes.
Yeah. 21 it's got to be at a certain degrees cold and all this stuff, and so you can see lots of things going wrong, can't you, really? Because it only takes one nurse who hasn't got the degrees right in the fridge or whatever. It could be a waste of time, really. Who knows? It's all new, isn't it? I mean, I don't think it's been tested thoroughly, personally.
I heard rumors of Bell's palsy as a reaction. So that's going to create a lot of anxiety. I know that it took many years for the rumor about the vaccine causing autism in children.
Yeah, well, there's all those things from history. We have to learn from history. We've got it wrong a lot, haven't we, in history?
It's true.
Scientists are not God. They're not beyond failure. Just because they're scientists and they know their stuff doesn't mean to say they're always right. They've got it wrong before with injections, and people have suffered years later, not necessarily straight away, but all the next generation who have been born has suffered for it. So we're looking at that, really, aren't we? I don't know. I just don't think it's been tested enough, really. It's been rushed out. I think Britain was the first place to take it. They've already been injecting people this week. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, but old people going first. I think they've got a system in this country. It's old people first, and I think young people. I don't know. It changes every day. Like the goalposts change in this country every day. You watch the news. It's like, he said the opposite yesterday.
Yeah. I think obviously the elderly or the immunocompromised should be getting it first. We only got, I think, with the two, because you need two, we got 250,000 of them. That's only 125,000 people in Canada. Who are they deciding is worthy?
Yeah. I guess, well, that's really where the people who want it should go first. People who want it, then take it. The people like myself who don't really want to take it unless I have to, then, we go last. I don't mind that. I'll go last. If you'll start growing two heads, I'll take it.
I know everybody's saying, I'll wait till 10,000 people try it first, and those brave people, right?
And I don't even take flu injection. I don't take flu. I haven't had an injection for 10 years. And I've not had cold for 10 years. So, go figure. I haven't had a cold.
With the autoimmune, I leave my house, I come back with something. I get on the subway.
It's because I eat so healthy. I mean, about 9 years ago, I started to really look after myself. It's like I got this arthritis in my arm, my left arm, which is guitar arm. And it was so bad, so crippling. I was doing all this therapy stuff. I took everything. I must have spent £1,000 on alternative medicines, physio, everything. I went through everything. And to the end, I was having steroid jabs in my arm because it got so bad. could hardly move my arm. I couldn't get undressed, you know, when you pull your shirt off, I couldn't even
Oh my
undress.
gosh.
Really bad. And I was only 45 or something like that. I thought by the age of 50, I'm going to be crippled. Then it went to my right arm, then my left leg, and I thought, this is crazy. I'm having injections, steroid injections, just to be able to function. I thought, and I really got depressed. I thought, right, I started to look into it. I thought, okay, food is medicine. That's what they say. Food is medicine. I'm going to go for this and try it. And I made that decision, conscious decision. I'm going to cut out everything. At that point, I was drinking like an idiot. I ate meat, just 10 years ago. And I just cut out everything. I didn't drink caffeine, sugar, gluten, cut it all out. All I had were fruit and vegetables, really healthy, you know, beans, pulses, that sort of thing. It was horrible. I hated it for about 3 months because my body just went into shock. It's like, oh, there's nothing in here I like. I can't even drink Jack Daniels. I can't do anything. And it's like, but after 3 months, the difference was so incredible. My arm, I could actually, the doctors said it wasn't possible. You can't cure this, but I couldn't even put my hands above my head, you know what I mean? And now it's like normal now. It's nothing. It's like,
wow.
As I started to add things back in, as you do, and I felt sugar was the real killer. Sugar was horrible. So obviously when I started drinking heavily again, and that would hurt, and I could feel twinges in my arm every time I did that. So for me, that was a choice. I was either going to be crippled or not. It was an easy choice. I wouldn't be playing guitar now, probably. I wouldn't be doing much at all. So that was my choice. Food is medicine. It really is. So I made that conscious decision back then. I mean, obviously I didn't want to eat animals anyway, but that helped me go full hog, as it were.
Oh, wow.
That's it. Food is medicine. So if we look after our bodies, it's like you won't put crap fuel in your car because it's not going to go, is it? If you put the wrong petrol in your car, it's not going to go far. You're going to rust the engine and do all things wrong with it. It's the same with your body if you don't want to put bad fuel in it every day.
This totally makes sense. That totally makes sense.
I've got so much energy now, and I'm 56. You know, I've got more energy now than I had when I was 30.
Oh my gosh.
Better now than I did when I was 30.
I mean, I'm reluctant. People have always preached to me with my health problems. You know, I lose friends because I can't follow their direction. You know what I mean? They're like, we're so worried about you. My friend stopped talking to me because I wouldn't follow his all blueberry diet for 2 months. You know, like,
that's boring.
you know, yeah, like just crazy stuff. And they're very well intentioned, you know, very well intentioned. But I really, the small things that I do enjoy, because I can't get out, I can't do much, you know, coffee, cigarettes, they're so hard to give up.
It is really hard. I mean, I totally sympathize. I found it so hard to stop drinking. I mean, I did this just before we went on a tour with Motorhead. So
oh my God.
That was like the biggest test of my career.
Willpower in the fucking world.
Yeah. Holy caffeine, so I drink decaf, and I still drink it. You get used to it. It's almost like once you've detoxed, as it were, and you got things out of your system. I was quite ill because I was basically I was wanting the caffeine. It was like, oh, give me a cold turkey. Yes. And it was like making me sick because I was detoxing all the chemicals and things. But that was hard to go out and not drink. But you know, I really missed it for the first 3 months, and then I started bringing it back in and just had a few drinks. But I can't just drink one drink, so I just gave up altogether about 5 years ago because I just can't do it. And I don't miss it at all now. I really don't miss it at all now. It's just like it's become the norm. Most things, once you've got used to it and got over the hump. If you're running a marathon, the first few miles are horrible, hurting. But once you get into the run, into the tread, it gets easier. It's also pilot, isn't it? And I think that's the same way with addictions and things like that. It's because, you know, everything is an addiction, isn't it? Even caffeine's an addiction, really.
It so is. It is. You know, and I have narcolepsy, so I mean, I don't know how I'd stay awake if I didn't have caffeine, to be honest. But did working with somebody like Lemmy really put that into perspective for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he had diabetes, so he wasn't putting Coca-Cola in his Jack Daniels.
But he wasn't taking care of himself very well.
He wasn't, no. But I mean, he was in his 60s, 70s. The last tour we did, he was 69. He was just about to turn 70, wasn't he? So, yeah. But I mean, he didn't take care of himself, but that's the way he lived his life. He said there's no point starting now, that sort of thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. But
did it give you a conscious choice to say, I'm either going to go out like that
In some
Right?
ways, yeah. Well, but I mean, because having arthritis in your arm when you're a guitar player is not going to be good, is it? So
No.
I had to make that conscious decision: I'm going to play or I'm not going to play. You know, it's
Oh,
easy to
wonderful.
say. And that's
Oh,
6. I mean, I've had 10 years since then that I'm still playing and playing more because I'm playing in 2 bands now.
I'm
If I'd have
blessed.
gone the way, you know, I wouldn't be playing now. I wouldn't be here now.
That's
So
so
I
true.
don't know what
That's
I'd
so
be
true.
doing, but
Well, we're glad you're doing it. We're glad you've done it. I mean, and it's definitely something that filters through the music community and the art world in a major, major way. Um, and how do you think it can be avoided? Like the pressure, you're playing in bars, like I mean, that's the lifestyle, right? Like how do you not
hard, yeah, it is hard, yeah, because it's like it's there. You know, you walk into your dressing room at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you're loading in, and when the roadies are setting up the gear, you're in this room basically just there with bottles of Jack Daniels and beer and wine. That's it, and you got nothing to do, got nowhere to go. You know,
mm,
sometimes in the middle of nowhere, still you're in a dressing room, and you just sat there. There's a load of food and loads of drink, and so of course at 3 o'clock I would just pour myself a Jack Daniels every day. And it's like you start at 3 o'clock and you end whatever 3 o'clock in the morning. So you're drinking 12 hours every single day. And it
wow.
gets funny, it takes its toll. And sometimes, you know, you just gotta decide, make a decision. No, I mean, like now with girls' school, we tend not to drink. Well, I don't drink at all now, but even Kim and Denise don't drink on the tour until after. If you want to drink after the gig, then yeah. But if you start at 3 in the afternoon, you're going to feel it, especially when you're in your 50s and 60s. You're really going to feel it, you know. You can't do the hangovers like you used to. I
I
remember
have
a few hangovers in my 40s and I'm like, oh, this isn't good. I'm not 18 anymore. I can't do this anymore.
And
But we
there's
used to,
nothing worse than going to see your favorite band, saving up all your money, and they're too fucking drunk to play a
yeah,
song. It
oh,
happened
like that.
with with Aerosmith. And my buddy was young. He was like, I don't know, he was maybe in his teens, right? And he saved up his $80, which was like a horrid amount of money for a teenager in West Virginia, right? Goes to the show. They were so drunk they could not stand up, and then the crowd got really upset and they didn't handle it well. So it was a big, people are throwing stuff, everybody's upset, they will never go back to that city as long as they are a band, but
Yeah. I've done that as well, you see, but I've not even known I've done it because, you know, when you're drinking in the afternoon and you're not eating anything, you don't even know, do you? You know what I mean? I've gone and done a gig and people are going, oh, great gig. And I've gone, I've done a gig. I mean, that's really bad, isn't it? But, you know, it's like that was back in the day. We used to party hard.
yeah.
But now, with that
Or
sense of, but I enjoy it more now. Now I'm so excited. I actually remember the gigs, you know, I can remember them.
wow, that's good.
Because
And I know
you know how many mistakes you've made as well, though, when you're sober. When you're drunk, you just think you've been playing awesome. You probably absolutely, you just think, I've been awesome tonight.
exactly. Or just being so intoxicated you can't remember the show.
Exactly, that's bad, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I always wonder why people get up to that shenanigans. But it's hard not to. And I think it's also hard. I think the pressure you guys are under too.
The
The
what, sorry?
pressure, the
Oh yeah,
pressure.
yeah, yeah.
You
Because
know,
you know, sometimes you're just not in the mood. You mean you're human, you know. Sometimes you're absolutely knackered. You maybe had a late night the night before. You're traveling all day. You know,
right?
traveling whacks you out, doesn't it? I mean, traveling. You know, if you go to an airport yourself, the next day you're tired. We have to do that every day. When you're on tour, you're doing that every single day. And the older you get, the harder it gets. I think that people don't understand. I mean, sometimes you just like because you're waiting around all day. So you've travelled all day. You've arrived at 3 o'clock and you sat around waiting to go on. And you're not on sometimes until 11 at night. And we've been on the road since 8 that morning. And you're
It's a
going on
hard
at
life.
11. You're like, you've got it. And that's half of the time where the booze kicked in because we're like, you know, you'd get a drink and get yourself in the mood. Yeah, we're up for it now. But sometimes it's really hard until you walk on stage. And when you get the audience and they give to you, you can give back. But sometimes you're just like, oh man, I really wish I was at home watching Strictly Come Dancing.
I can understand that. And the minute you're at home, you're like, gee, I wish I was on the road.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not now. I'm appreciating now. Oh, I wish I was out on the road again.
I know everybody's
We're
feeling
all
it.
doing it.
Everybody. And I think it's just we're not meant to be solitary creatures. We're
No,
not.
No.
Really not. And as much as, it's lovely to be able to talk to you all the way to another country right now, it's just not the same.
It's not the same, is it? No. Thank goodness for Zoom, though, really, because it's a lifeline for a lot of people, isn't it? I mean, all these elderly people who are literally locked in homes, and people in hospital. Like, that's the people I feel sorry for right now. The people who've got, like, Kim's mum's in hospital, and she can't see her. She can't physically go see her.
They were doing these amazing things in nursing homes where they were basically putting a bubble wrap around it, and the old people could stick their hands through, and you could touch them through the plastic, right?
That's cool. They
It's
need to do
kind
that
of
everywhere.
good.
They need to do that everywhere, really, don't they? I mean, I think they're doing. There's some. Is it in England? It's like there's different places doing different things. Like some homes will let people in with masks and everything, obviously, but some don't. So it's all dependent on where you have your relatives. You know what I mean? You could be in a postcode that won't allow it, and all these different systems. It's just not working.
It's just not. We were not prepared for this. We were not prepared for it at all.
No.
And I don't think
it's going to happen for years. I mean, all these films about it, and all these scientists have been saying for years and years and years. I mean, Bill Gates himself has been saying there's going to be one virus that is going to, take out a lot of people.
Well, maybe he shouldn't have created it then. No.
Exactly.
I'm not spreading that bullshit.
Well, let's say
the guy, he's being blamed for everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm sure. I just think it's silly. I think we need somebody to blame, and we need somewhere to get our answers from, and it's easy to do.
We just need a solution, don't we? We just need to deal with it properly. I mean, it's probably a bit of another one. I think we're probably now at the stage where there's so many people on the planet, and because we're eating the wildlife and all the things we shouldn't be eating, I think there's going to be more after this. I mean, that's probably very pessimistic, but I just think it's realistic as well. I think there's probably going to be more. So we've got to be prepared. The scientists have got to get ahead of this instead of trying to catch up.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. I think the animals better might be number one. Don't fill them full of all these, because we're getting like chicken farms and things like that in England of all these different. They've had to cull all these chickens because one or two have got it. You know what I mean? So it's like happening already. Animals are starting to catch this. We had a mink farm in there, and I don't know, all sorts of animals are catching it. And if they catch it and it goes into the food chain, game over, isn't it? That's going to be a lot more people going to die from it.
Yeah, so, I don't know if you can actually. Yeah, see, that doesn't make sense to me.
But from the food, who knows? Who knows in time?
I don't know.
We've had mad cow disease. We've had, all these swine flus and all these different things, all from animals. It's all from that swine flu, from pigs.
Spanish flu, go right back.
Bird flu. It's all animals. Just leave the animals alone. Just come on, guys.
Yeah.
If we got them together.
I just don't think we have a marketable replacement.
Not yet, but like I say, you can train your body. You can train your body. Your body is trainable, like anything. Like I've trained my body not to like coffee. I have decaf coffee now, or booze, or like meat. And I found substitutes that I love. I love my food now. I find the food more enjoyable now because I'm making it all myself.
Oh wow!
So it's like, so I don't miss the meat. Every time I smell bacon, at least I love bacon. And that was the hardest one to replace. But you find replacements for it. You do find things that you can eat. And when I see people eating bacon now, I just think, oh, that used to be a pig. Do you know what I mean? I don't see it as bacon anymore. I see that as there used to be an animal. And I think people are going to come around to that eventually.
They put up these horrible posters in the Toronto subway with a picture of a pig and a picture of a 3-year-old child. They have the same thinking capacity.
Yeah, you see,
I smart.
I don't think preaching to people is getting through because people don't want to be preached at. If there's like good science facts, when like you're saying that they do. Pigs are very intelligent. They are intelligent. We know that. And of course, if you get through to people like that through intellect rather than bombarding them and soapboxing, I am a vegetarian, you must not eat meat. Because that's never going to work. It never worked on me. I lived with Kelly, the original guitarist, for 7 years. And she was like staunch vegetarian. And that's when I was eating meat. And she used to preach at me all the time. And I was more like, no, get lost, whatever. I go and meet Denise, we go out for a steak. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of had the reverse effect on me when somebody's preaching at me. But when you get the facts, like for myself, I did it because I didn't want to eat animals, but for my health as well and for the planet. When you do it for a reason, then you can see logic behind it. It makes more sense to do it. And it's not being preached at, because preaching just doesn't work. It just won't ever work.
No, it just won't. Yeah, you're yeah, you're really, really late. So I don't know how much time we have left. So let's talk about the Christmas song that you put out. That was a lot of fun. That's a great song.
You liked it? Yeah, that's the first thing I did. Because in 2015, I'd wanted to put a band together, my own band together. Just when girls' school want gigging, I want it to be gigging here as well, because like, you know, obviously we're getting older now in girls' school and we don't want to be touring all the time. So I thought I'm going to put another band together, so a little bit different, and do more gigs up north where I live, because everybody else is down south. And I put this band together, Cyteria, and the back end of 2015, and I found the people, but then we were going out on tour with Motorhead like I keep saying, November. So I decided we can't do anything in 2015. It was like October. So let's record a Christmas song, introduce ourselves, and then I'll go off on tour. And then we'll start in 2016 properly. So, you know, I wrote this song, Santa's Harley, which is a song, my dad gave me that title years before he died. He said, you must write a song called Santa's Harley. I can see it now. It's really good. So I decided I'm going to do it for my dad. So I did. I wrote it. We recorded it. Julia, a singer, she got a mobile phone and we just did the video on our own, just did it all ourselves. And we just put it out at the end of 2015. Never thought anything else about it. Like new band, Cyteria, you'll see us in 2016, because we didn't have a drummer then either. So Pablo was Julia's brother and he was helping us out. He's now a member, but he was helping us out at the time. And we put out this video, and then that's it. Yeah, we decided to just make it silly, fun. Here we are, and it's 4-part harmonies, and yep. So here we are now, 5 years on, 5 years.
Wow. I'm so proud to use it as my ad song, but then I have to cover up the video with all my information, right? I kind of feel guilty. So, but it is a really great song. It's a lot of fun. Are you going to do some more music with Cyteria now?
Yeah. Well, obviously we wrote this album, Reflection. 2 years ago. It came out, funnily enough, this year, February the 21st. That's why when I came back off tour with Girls' School, we were going straight out to promote this album. We got some great reviews. It really was doing well, you know, people are liking it. And of course, then COVID hit, so we couldn't promote it. So we got this album that never got really released. We had all these adverts in papers and reviews, and we couldn't do anything. We couldn't promote it.
Does it make you want to
promote this album? And the lyrics on the album, it's almost like prophetic, because it's like songs, make some noise, you know, your cupboard may lay bare, some take more than they share. When I wrote that lyric, I never thought in a million years I'd be talking about toilet rolls.
That's so true.
There's so many things on the album. There's a song called Goodbye World, which is about climate change. And there's lots of different serious songs, but there's a lot of fun songs as well. There's a song called Gossips. If you check the video out for that, I always seem to be dressed up because I'm obviously like 25 years, 30 years older than the other guys in the band. So I always get like the grandma in the Christmas song, I'm the grandma. I'm the school teacher in Gossips. But we like to have a lot of fun in the videos, you know, in Cyteria. We just mess about. Awesome. And so check that one out, Gossips.
I will.
Yeah.
I was told that my music is grandma metal by somebody who's about 20. Grandma metal. And I'm like, I'm so cool with that. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Because, you know, I mean, the genres in the 70s and 80s and the 90s, not so much, but the 70s and 80s, that's gold. That's gold.
It was my era. I love the 80s. I mean, we grew up in the 80s. It's like, oh, man, there's good music. The songs, I mean, that's the thing, you know. I mean, people say to me, oh, it's not as heavy as Girls' School. I went, well, there's no point in doing 2 girls' schools. You know what I mean? I'm already doing Girls' School.
Yeah.
This is the band. I've got a bit of a punk element to me as well. I grew up in the punk stuff, and I like harmonies. Where in Girls' School we don't really do harmonies; it's more sort of shouty, anthemy, you know, sing along things. But in Cyteria it's like more harmonies and sing along songs. I like to go back to the basics of 80s music, where you had the sing along chorus, you know. And I like those kind of songs, and that's what I'm trying to do in this band.
I think that's awesome, because once you're pigeonholed, you're just stuck.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's got to be rough as an artist who wants to do, say a country song, but nobody will let you write one.
Exactly. Yeah,
It
I mean,
just,
it's a bit poppy. I mean, Cyteria, it's rock and it's punk and it's got a bit of pop as well. So it's a little bit of crossover and everything. We get the right mixture of people at our audiences. But when I look out in the audience, I can see them singing, and that was the objective. I really wanted people to sing along, like they're enjoying the actual song that they're singing, rather than just watching a gig of musicians. I just wanted them to sing songs again, because I kind of miss that, the old days when you're just singing along, your song comes on, all the lyrics, brilliant.
I totally agree. But I also like the yelly stuff too. I like that.
I mean, I like that as well. I love a Rammstein gig. I got Foo Fighters gig. I mean, it's still got rock gigs. I still love rock music, but I think you can have a bit of everything in music. You get your different pools of influences. If you pull them all in, you get something different. There's no point in doing the same thing all the time,
And one over time has influenced the other. So if you really want to go back to where rock and roll started and all that, you know what I mean? One influences the other, and we're so steadfast to holding on to our genre like it's the only one, right?
Yeah. You find out all these rockers. I mean, I've talked to a lot of heavy rockers all the time, and they all like, things in the pop charts. It's like a good song. I mean, if you're only stuck in one little thing, you're going to sound like that band. If everybody in your band likes AC/DC, you're going to sound like AC/DC.
It's so true.
If you've got little pools of influences of different things, you can really create something different, unique. It's more fun that way if you're all pulling from a different source.
And so now that you have this album that you can't really do anything with, does that make you go back and write more albums?
Yeah, I'm writing again. We're all writing again now, so it's like, I've not done much since lockdown. I did more writing before lockdown. At the moment, I seem to be doing a lot of I'm doing a lot of packaging. The house looks like Santa's grotto right now, because we just put a load of new merchandise out for Cyteria, like calendars and Christmas cards and all this stuff. And I've been here because they all work, they all got proper jobs as well. So I'm stuck here, like when the government said you need to retrain musicians. I didn't really think I was going to be Santa's elf, but there you go. Here I am.
A present rapper. That's what your high school guidance counselor projected you to be. I don't know.
But anyway, it's great that people are supporting the band by buying the merchandise. That's always a good thing. And of course, I'm doing girls' school masks as well. We've just got some masks done. So, yeah.
I think that's where most people, and I know Livs was explaining this to me, make all of their money anyways. That the tours kind of just even themselves out. Right. In many regards. And your merch is really, really important. I can dig that. Was it something that the labels used to do for you and now you're doing on your own?
Well, with Cyteria, we're not signed exactly. We've got our own distribution. In fact, we've just signed a distribution deal with Renaissance Records in Canada. So you'll be getting the vinyl version of Reflections there. I guess early next year. I'm not sure. It's being pressed right now, so I'm guessing promotion January. Hopefully, it'll be on the streets there in the shops there.
Wicked.
If it gets the shops, that is, yeah.
We lost one of the best places for buying records. Sam, the record man, used to have these giant lights outside that would go off at night and spin, right? I don't know if you've seen it in films or whatever. It was, and as a punk, as a street kid, you kind of had a part of the block, right, on Young Street that was yours, man. And we fought for that square footage in front of Sam the Record Man like you wouldn't believe. And it was, like whole turf. And there was nothing like going in there buying records, which is something that's lost again.
Yeah. I think, vinyl's kind of making a comeback here. I don't know if it's there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I got offered this, I thought, because it's Renaissance in Canada. I thought, well, Canada is a spot we've not hit as Cyteria. We've not hit there. But because Girls' School went gold there.
Yeah.
We played there a couple of times since I've been in the band. I've loved it. It's been like full every time, because obviously there's a big fan base there. So I'd love to get Cyteria out there. I'd love to go anywhere right now, but
Oh, I know, right?
Canada would be cool because it's always a good place to play.
Yeah, Canada. I'm like, we're losing those record stores. We're losing the places to go and buy them. Part of that is like Best Buy or Amazon or whatever eating up that market space from the smaller businesses way back. But now everything is online.
Yeah.
Everything is online. You don't get a physical copy of things.
I know, I love that, don't you? People saying it's like when I was a kid growing up. Every Christmas, they say, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I give them mum and dad a list of about 10 albums that I wanted, so they could buy a couple. It'd still be a surprise. And you open on Christmas morning, all I did was smell them.
I know, right?
You take the lyric sheets out, and you're looking at the lyric sheets, and probably couldn't see it. If it's a CD, I can't see it now.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm so blind too. That's horrible. I do not think they were a good invention.
Yeah.
As an narcoleptic, they can become frisbees very quickly. You scratch them, drop them, break them, right? But like a tape, you could run over that with your car. You could throw it at the bottom of the ocean for a month and bring it up and just melt it back together, man. Genius, right?
Wind it around.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And now, I mean, they say they sound better, but to me, I can almost hear the difference, and it's got a nicer tone, almost like an album.
Yeah,
right?
It's a different mix altogether. Yeah, because I know I just had to Tim Sonic One, who does all our producing. I had to get hold of him so he could do a vinyl mix. So it's a completely different sound. Yeah.
Yeah. And I miss, remember when people would carry around their music and blare it as loud as possible? I could rock out on the bus like a freaking maniac, right? Because it was part of it, right? And now you have your iPod in, and you just.
Yeah, but it'd be noise pollution now, that wouldn't it?
I know. It's like, I missed that. I was obscene with that. I had a huge ghetto blaster I carried around on my shoulder, and I was blaring metal everywhere. I got kicked out everywhere.
I don't. There with the little ears, yeah.
It's
music, which is good. So at least people are still buying music, but it's all streaming now, isn't it? And you don't get. I mean, as artists, we get shortchanged. Let's say, like you used to make a lot of money from an album, you get at least half, whatever. Now you get like a penny for a download. Between you, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So nobody's making money in the industry if you get paid, because obviously then there's all the free streaming things that you don't get any money for at all.
Right.
So it's hard to live in as a musician. So that's why, like, this stuff, merchandise, really is the only way to do it.
And people were
that a long time ago.
We're so resentful. They're so resentful in the last few years of that, just being basically raped for their music. Yeah. And not getting anything out of it because of the online way it's working. But because we're forced to be online now, I really hope that changes, that those deals can, because they're getting more viewership.
Jimmy Page is in court right now, isn't he? I saw something on Facebook a couple of days ago that Jimmy Page is fighting that case now to get.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good for him. Oh, I'll check that out. I'll stay tuned and watch for that, because I just don't think it's fair.
It's really not. And of course, I think more people are realizing now that if they're not gigging and they're not selling merch, that's their only way they're going to make any money, is selling records. There's probably going to be a lot of new albums come out next year, because a lot of people have been writing this year.
That's so true. Yeah. Or the competition for those venue spaces. I don't know if contracts hold over. So let's say a lot of things get canceled because this is considered an act of God.
Yeah, act of God.
Right, basically.
For Girls' School, we rescheduled quite a lot. Fairly similar dates, I think, because I think the Saxon one got moved again. But like things we had booked, festivals, they've made them the same time next year, a day later, because obviously the Fridays and Saturdays. So I think that's what they're trying to do. But I think most bands next year are going to be fighting for the same gigs, which is really going to be hard from the small bands,
Exactly. Yeah. To weave their way through that and be seen, because they're having to pay back, what's owed to the established people. Also, I think that it's just going to be hard to, I don't know. Do you lose that? Like if you were just about to break and do your first couple tours, and they don't hold those contracts or give you that call back, you might be lost. And I know so many people are giving up and just breaking up and saying, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, a lot of bands, yeah, a lot, I've heard that as well, or getting other jobs, whatever. But yeah, it's sad, isn't it? Because there's
Yes.
so much talent out there. It's just gone now. I mean, actors the same as well. You know, the theatres are opening, but to small audiences. I think there'll be gigs, but a little chicken in the basket again, like we did
Yeah.
with Citation. Just like a limited audience, like we put to like 100 people spread out, you know, in these big social clubs, and that's kind of go the way it's going to go. I think, you know, it's going to be small venues seated,
And what
so
is it?
people can't.
We don't have the $10 venues like you guys do, you know, or across the states. Most things are sold through Ticketmaster here, and it's almost $100 to see a show or more. So imagine if they're trying to compensate for those venues of making, you know, money off 100 people, how much you'll have to pay to see a big
Problem, yeah.
band
That is the
perform to 100
problem.
people.
And how they're going to keep people apart if they've still got this stuff going on. That's the problem. They're looking at like perspex things, and it's just not going to be the same, is it? When the talks
You're in a
drive through.
cage.
Do you see earlier this year they were talking about driving gigs, and they were all these people doing like setting up driving gigs with your car. But I can't see the bands really. I feel sorry for the bands doing those, because if you're going to do one, we'd probably do it ourselves. But it must be hard to get like anything from the audience if there's people sat in the cars.
Well, the problem was people weren't. They get out of their cars and they mingle, and it's like it's a party.
It's like when you're told to sit down at a gig. I mean, I remember going to see Alice Cooper when I was young.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, I was in this seated place, and I've been to see him a few times before, but it's like, you just want to get up and dance because you love the song, you know, scream, jump around and shout, don't you? You can't sit.
No.
So all the security are making everybody sit all the time, and as soon as they move, they just stood up again. It's just pointless.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you can't.
in a car, you're going to sit there and watch. You're going to watch Iron Maiden like this. Not a chance.
No.
Yeah, sunroof, stand up.
The worst was seeing the Trans-Siberian Orchestra with rich people who didn't know that they're a fucking metal band, that this is not a Christmas performance for freaking, you know, theater, right? And I'm getting up and freaking out. People are like, miss, you really need to sit down. It's like, no, you're at the wrong show. Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's awful to have to sit down at venues. I will say that.
I don't like them at all. It's horrible for the support bands as well, the seated venues, if you've got your allocated seats. Because, like, say you're going to see a band like Motorhead, for instance, and you've got your allocated seat right at the front, so you know you can be on front row. If you got a support band this is their first major tour, and they're supporting Motorhead, they think they're going to play to 2,000 people tonight, and there's nobody in there because they've all got the seats allocated. So they we'll just wait for the next band and we'll wait for Motorhead. They're all in the bar waiting for Motorhead to come on. They don't even bother going to see the first couple of bands. So those seated venues are horrible anyway, in that sense, if you got your allocated seats. But, you know, it's the way it's always been that. But I hope it's not going to go like that in the future, if it's all going to be seated and separations, segregated areas. Ooh, horrible.
I know, and I've started to see at restaurants with pubs or whatever, like they have these plexiglass sheets in between the bartender and the people. They just are hanging there, right?
Yeah,
like we're just that's so sad to me.
It's
so
like that everywhere, isn't it? It's just becoming like everybody's so frightened of everybody else. It's like really going to be nobody dare hug, nobody dare. It's just going to be a weird society, isn't it?
I wonder what it's going to do to the children.
Yeah, the children. I think they're the ones we won't be here when it's all, you know, really kicking off and really getting bad. It's going to be quite horrible, I think, for the kids, the next generations.
To be raised to fear other people to that extent of touch and
no hugging granny because you might kill her. I mean, that when I saw that on television, that's a horrible thing to say. Your child to don't hug the granny in case they kill her.
Oh my God, yeah, that's something that will stick in your head forever, and just to be afraid to touch somebody. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? I don't know how we're going to fix this. I really don't. But I really think the vaccine is, you know, maybe.
If it works. But they'll always find a way. I mean, musicians will always find a way through what we've come out of things before, and we'll find a way to make it work. I think humans are pretty good at finding solutions, aren't we?
Yeah, because
a way to make things work for us. We just got to look positive. We're quite positive, really, most of us, I think. Creative.
I think so. And
if people are creative, we'll create a new way.
I
There you
think
go.
so. I think so. And to use the influence that you have with that positivity over people, I think is really important right
Yeah.
now. You know, to be responsible with the fact that you can influence people with what you say, right? And that just goes back, I guess, you know, right to the beginning. This was, you know, it's important. It's a responsibility, I think, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and there's people out there that are not doing that
Mm.
with the power to do that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
staying in their isolation and maybe not conversing with the world. So thank you so much for talking to me.
Oh, no worries. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun.
Yes, I know, I know.
Yeah.
I could do it all day, girl.
Well, an hour and 10 minutes we've done today. That's pretty good, isn't it?
It is very good. So thank you.
Somebody from Yorkshire, I can speak for hours, don't worry.
Me too. Me too. All
Okay.
right. So bless. Good luck. Thanks for everything. We'll chat soon, okay? All
Bye.
right. Bye. Bye.
Bye.